I'm really excited to be here today, and I'm really excited to welcome all of you. One of the things that we like to do at Iron Range Engineering and in the Bell program is really start with why. And we find that people are most motivated when they understand why something is going to happen. In fact, there's a whole book written by Simon Sinek about Start With Why. And it's a great marketing book for those of us whose engineering careers bring us to marketing. All right, so the first reason why the Bell program exists is to have a highly supportive community. Now, a lot of engineering programs are extremely competitive within the program, whereas most engineering teams are highly collaborative. And so we want your engineering experience to be more like it's going to be on your engineering teams. And so we want it to be very collaborative. And in our program, we have 12 professors and facilitators. There are 12 engineers, and we treat each other with kindness and respect. We treat all of our student engineers with kindness and respect. And if you decide to follow down this path a little bit, we'll have you meet some of our current students who've already been with the Bell program for almost a year and hear what they think. In fact, we have a video coming up on what our current students think about the supportiveness of our community. The next reason that the Bell program exists is workplace experience. There is no substitute for entering the engineering profession with a lot of experience already in engineering work. Learning how companies work, learning how systems work. It's why internships are so critical to the development of an engineer. In the Bell program, we have 2 full years of workplace experience. Now, next up is what we call guided co-op development. Now, this takes me a second to explain what a co-op is. Co-ops exist in engineering programs all over the country. It's where a student takes a semester and instead of going to school, goes to work in an internship. And that semester is usually either preceded or followed by a summer. So it's 8 or 9 months. But in all of those co-op experiences, when the student leaves the university, they're gone. And they don't interact with the university until they get back. Now, co-op is a very rich environment to get this workplace experience to really develop. But when you're left on an island, that development doesn't happen. At the Bell program, we interact with our co-op students many times per week. We have professors interacting with them on their learning, and we have their facilitators. We have engineers who work in the Bell program whose only job is to coach engineering students, and we call them facilitators, and they guide the development of this co-op for all of those 8 months, 9 months, 12 months. The next reason the Bell program exists is something that we call a flexible learning model. Now, what we mean by flexible is we have a saying in the Bell program, and that is that each student becomes the engineer they want to be. And we recognize that each of us has a very unique trajectory. So we give ample opportunity for each student to make choices that influence their direction, that influence their path, that influence their career. So it's an extremely flexible model. It's also very flexible in that you can join the Bell program and become any kind of engineer you want. You can be a civil engineer, a mechanical engineer, electrical engineer, biomedical engineer, you name it, and you can become that kind of engineer. And then the fifth reason in why Bell exists is so that our student engineers can make substantial money while they're in college. Cody, later on, will go through our financial model, but you can make more money in college by quite a bit than the entire Bell program costs. So these are the reasons why the Bell program exists, and we hope that in the next 2 hours you get to live and experience a lot of these reasons. Now, the next question is, well, what is the Bell program exactly? And so next slide, please, Caitlin. Here's what it is. You start by finishing up at your community college, and then you enter the Bell program. It's 5 semesters, and the first semester is something that we call the Bell Academy. It's like a boot camp for being a superbly ready intern or co-op for the next 2 years. We learn so many professional skills and technical skills and design skills during the Bell Academy, so that when our students go for the next 2 whole years to finish their engineering education, to get paid and get to earn their degree, Bell Academy is the preparation, the co-op is the rest, and throughout that whole time we have this deep support. Our students are learning online, but if you've had some bad online learning experiences, our online learning is nothing like that. It's definitely a new generation of online learning. So that's the Bell program, and when we're done, our student engineers have a BS in engineering.
All right, so that is what the Bell model looks like from a bird's eye view. But now we want to hear from each of you. I will go through as you pop up on my screen here, and I'll call on you so you can introduce who you are, where you're from, what kind of engineer you want to be, and for fun, what is your favorite food? So I'll start. My name is Caitlin Mann. I'm a facilitator at the Bell program. I am from Grand Rapids, Minnesota, and I have an emphasis in biomedical engineering, and my favorite food is anything Italian. So I'll start with Hunter. You're first on my list. Make sure you unmute yourself.
Good idea. I'm Hunter. I'm from Los Angeles, California. What kind of engineer do I want to be? Right now, chemical, but I'm really interested in the idea of materials engineering. I want to kind of see where I can go with that. And my favorite food is definitely sushi. So,
awesome.
Thanks.
Thank you. Justin, we'll go with you next. You're muted.
Hi everyone, I'm Justin. I'm a facilitator here. I'm from Virginia, Minnesota, actually where the campus for the Bell Academy takes place. And the kind of engineer I want to be is a mechanical engineer. I spent my time in industry as a design engineer. And then my favorite food is, it's definitely pizza, like a good, thick, deep dish pizza all the time.
Yep. Awesome. Jason.
Hi everyone, my name is Jason. I'm from Stanford, California, and I want to be a mechatronic engineer, which you may all be familiar with. If you're not, it combines electrical, computer science, and mechanical engineering. And I can always get down with eggs. They're so versatile.
Nice. Tony.
Tony Bendito. I'm a Bell facilitator. I'm from Bovee, Minnesota. I went to school to be a mechanical engineer, but now it appears that I'm an education engineer. And my favorite food is pretty much anything Mexican food. I love Mexican food.
Awesome. Douglas?
Hi, my name is Douglas, and I was born in Zimbabwe, and I moved to America, and I live in California. I want to be an aerospace engineer, and my favorite food is pizza, because you can't go wrong with that.
Yep, I can get on board with that. Awesome, thank you. Brandy.
Hello, my name is Brandy Mackey. I am also a facilitator here at the Bell program. I'm from northern Minnesota, and I want to be an awesome engineer. I am an electrical engineer, and my favorite food is, I think, anything that isn't Italian sausage.
Is not?
Yeah, like any kind of food is good.
That's awesome. Okay, and correct me if my pronunciation is wrong. Tiba, is that how you pronounce it?
Yeah, that's correct. My name is Yao Tiba. I'm from Ivory Coast, in Cote d'Ivoire, West Africa. I live right now in Cincinnati, Ohio. I want to be an electrical engineer, and my favorite food is acheke. It's made of cassava. Thank you.
Thanks. Jody.
Hello,
Hi.
everyone.
Oh, I said
Oh,
Jody.
Oh, you said Jody?
Yes.
Oh, it sounded like Cody. All right. Cody, you're up.
Hi, everyone. I'm Jody Nelson. I am originally from Midland, Michigan, and now I live in Eveleth, Minnesota. I am a geological engineer, and my background is in environmental consulting. My favorite food is any vegetable that comes off the grill right now.
Yep. Awesome. Alan?
Alan wrote in the chat, so
Oh.
I'll read it. So, spells it Island on there. So
Looks
Alan
like
or
maybe.
Island.
I don't know. Maybe.
Okay, so his mic's not working, but he's from all over. Originally from Serbia, grew up in Israel, and has been across America. Married to a military lady, so guesses the traveling will continue. Moved from California, finishing with North Carolina and moving to Kansas in 2 weeks. Wants to be a civil engineer and likes sushi and steaks.
Perfect. Awesome. Thank you. We'll do Cody and then Andrew, and then we'll wrap up.
All right, now it's my turn. My name is Cody Mann. I am a facilitator at the Bell program from Grand Rapids, Minnesota. I'm a chemical engineer with experience at a paper mill. So paper making process is something I have experience in. Currently actually pursuing a master's degree as well. Should be done with that this December, so I'm excited about that. My favorite food is watermelon.
All right,
That's
so
hardly
my
a
name
food.
Hardly a food.
So my name is Andrew Handigman. I'm a facilitator or engineer with the Bell program, and I am essentially gravitate more towards industrial or manufacturing engineering, but I took a broad approach and took classes in mechanical, electrical, and systems. Systems in respect to lean manufacturing, not systems in an electrical perspective. So favorite food, pizza, hands down, but I have been cutting back to lose weight. So sad. Caitlin, bring us to the next thing to pick the mood up.
Yeah, all right. Well, next you all will hear from a professor. His name is Dennis Rogalski, and he's going to talk to us about the community in the Bell program.
Hello, everyone. My name is Dennis Rogalski, and I'm one of the professors with the Bell program. I want to take some time to talk to you about community. This image is a sweeping view of Virginia, Minnesota, where the Bell program is located. Virginia is one of several tight-knit communities along the Iron Range in northeastern Minnesota. The name Iron Range arises because over the last 100 years, the majority of iron ore that's gone into steel production within the United States have come from mines along this area. Engineering also has a strong focus on the Iron Range because the majority of these communities started as company towns in support of nearby mines. In this image, the bridge in the foreground spans the mine that is closest to the Virginia community itself. These days, Virginia has transitioned into a town with big city amenities while maintaining its small town charm. Within the map, you see the Mesabi Range campus, which is where we're located. You'll also notice the parks and the lakes here as well. Virginia has ample opportunities for outdoor activities, while also having stores, restaurants, and theaters for shopping and entertainment value. Now let's transition into a look at community within the Bell program itself. With this slide, I want to focus on three main aspects of community within the Bell program. First is that community and teamwork were really built into the Bell program design from the very beginning. And these images are a demonstration of that. In the upper left corner, you see a project design team on an industry site visit for their project. And in the center, you see pictures of communal meals that are quite common within the program itself. In most organizations, you'll have to make a real effort to connect with the people that are around you. But by building community into the design of the Bell program, that connection becomes almost effortless. In the bottom left corner of this slide, you see an image of the facilitator office. And that demonstrates how that community is connected throughout all the staff, as we have an open air office platform that we share the office space with. Within an organization, the principles of that organization become values once the people in the organization start displaying it daily. And that's one of the reasons I like the group selfie shot for Andrew down below. This was a group within the staff that wanted to get some exercise, and it kind of spontaneously came about where they would go out on walking trips over this last fall, displaying that sense of value. So overall, once you design community and teamwork into the program from the start, you make it rather effortless for people to come together and facilitate that really becoming a value throughout. Now let's look at how the design of the Bell program really helps us transition to building community remotely. Keep in mind that extended community was always part of the original Bell program design, with students working remotely for the last 2 years in co-ops anywhere that they like. This last semester, while a number of schools were scrambling to convert their programs online, the Bell program was already teaching remotely to cohort 1 students all across the country per our original design. The design wheel shown in the center of this slide is one of the other key attributes that helps Bell respond and improve rapidly. Examples of that are the spring virtual career fair that was held in April, helping to connect over nearly 50 students with over 20-some companies. You'll also see the mask design, where a student team came together during this virus outbreak to design a 3D printable mask and make that model available to anyone. The staff here at the program did transition to working remotely from home, and that's one of the images you see above me here. It's a Zoom meeting for the facilitators this last spring. If you have questions about the hats being worn, I'll let you ask them directly yourself. All of this is one of the assists that helps us to respond and improve quickly, as we're doing now, while we plan for the Bell Academy this fall, where we'll have a combination of students at site and attending remotely. We also know that we don't have all the answers. By partnering with students, their voices will contribute to an even stronger experience during that Bell Academy. And after all, that's really what community is all about. We'll transition now to the next speaker. Thank you for your attention and take care.
All right, so that was Dennis. Now, Emily Seiverling, she is also one of the professors here at the Bell program. She's going to talk to you about the technical learning aspect and then something we call learning about learning.
So regardless of where you decide to pursue your education, Bell program or not, learning about how you learn and learning in general is kind of an essential part to any education. But in the Bell program, we really make that explicit. So in other universities and other colleges, it might be more of you're kind of on your own to figure out how you best learn. In the Bell program, it's built into the curriculum. So it's not just learning about engineering concepts, it's also learning about, you know, learning in general, so how the brain works, different learning styles, that kind of stuff, and how you learn specifically and how to become a self-directed learner. So the model shown here is one of the models that we use at the Bell program. So this is Ulrich Boser's model from his book, Learn Better. And we've built in kind of these 6 components into several of the various learning activities that we do at the Bell program. And so one of the reasons we really emphasize becoming a self-directed learner and learning about learning is that it's an essential component of being a successful engineer. So the world and technology are going to look way different 5 years from today, 10 years, 20 years, 30 years down the line. And so what you learn in undergraduate, right now isn't necessarily going to be the most important thing 30 years from now. So it's really important to develop your skills in self-directed learning and learning about learning. And so we build that into the program. And so in addition to becoming a self-directed learning, we also talk about the 3 legs of the stool. So there's kind of 3 main components of being an engineer: the technical, design, and professionalism. I'm going to talk about technical a little bit, and then Andrew and Caitlin are going to talk about design and professionalism. And so the core of our technical learning is something called fundamental principles. So all of our Bell program students take the same kind of core technical classes. They take different advanced classes depending on their focuses and specialties, but same core advanced. So things like AC circuits, thermodynamics, statistics, important for any kind of engineering. And within each of those cores, there are these concepts called fundamental principles. So these are like the key ideas or essential understandings of that core competency, of that topic. So in some other engineering universities or colleges, you might just get thrown just like a ton of information, and you're left at the end of the semester to go, I just got a fire hose blasted in my face and I have no idea what even the most important concepts were. In the Bell program, we explicitly identify those for you, and we think about them in various ways throughout the whole 2.5 years. So we think about them conceptually and numerically, so not just memorizing equations, but also thinking about what they mean. We apply them to something called a deep learning activity. You can ask me more about that later if you have questions about that. We ask students to make connections between various fundamental principles because it's been shown that making connections help students develop a deeper understanding. We are always reviewing the fundamental principles throughout the 2.5 years. So it's not like you just take a class, learn the fundamental principles, and then never talk about it again. Throughout the whole 2.5 year experience, there's fundamental principle reviews, there's periodic exams to kind of give you practice testing your knowledge. And then we also emphasize applying those fundamental principles to design, because technical knowledge in and of itself is not super useful for engineers. The application is really the key element there. So students apply technical fundamental principles to design projects on co-op, design projects in the Bell Academy, to something called SciOps, which is a creative, innovative, open-ended problem solving. It's kind of way for students to combine their technical professionalism and design knowledge and kind of demonstrate those for us. So we really emphasize these fundamental principles, and I want to do a quick activity with them. So one of the fundamental principles of your lower division courses, hopefully you all have some basic experience with calculus, and one of those fundamental principles is integration, or integrals. So we, for each of the fundamental principles, our Bell program students fill out what we call a describe sheet. You can see a partially filled out example here on the left. These describe sheets include a word description, a sketch or drawing, equations and units where applicable, an engineering application, why is this significance in the real world, and describing connections to other engineering learning. So in about 30 seconds here, Cody is going to break you out into groups of 2 or 3. What I want you to do for this fundamental principle of integration, I've already written a word description. So take a few seconds here to read through that word description. You may also want to take a screenshot or write down some of these other categories. And once you're in your small groups, you're going to think about 2 of the other categories in your choice. So it could be engineering application, it could be significance in the real world, it could be a sketch or drawing. Think about 2 other of those components of integration. What would you put? And just discuss those. You don't have to write them down or anything, but discuss in your group. So introduce yourselves in your group and discuss the 2 other components of your choice. So I hope you all had good discussions with the facilitator. I just wanted to show you, this is an actual example of a student's describe sheet for the fundamental principle of integration. So there's many different ways, like you may have had many different engineering applications that you all talked about, different significance in the real world. But this is just a way for for our students to cement the fundamental principles and really key into those key ideas of technical learning. And so that's it for technical learning. I'm going to hand it over to Andrew for design.
Sorry, I suppose I need to unmute myself. I apologize. So essentially, design is a very cool part of our program. It is the real world component. It is actually doing projects. It's actually doing work. It's being an engineer the day you begin our program. In fact, our students are not called engineering students. We will, from the get-go, work to have you identify yourself as a student engineer, meaning that you are identifying as an engineer from day one. Part of the growth of becoming an engineer is calling yourself one. So this wheel that we have here is our guide. So when I teach design, this is our guide for working on an industry project, and we would be working on one right away when you get here if you chose to come to our program. So we're going to spend some time defining the problem, typically going on site to an employer's location, and you would ask them questions to figure out what you're supposed to do in the 4.5 months you're with us, or remotely doing the project. We're going to figure out objectives, both for the design itself and for you personally. So what do you want to take out of this project? It's not quite good enough just to be able to solve the solution for the client, but we want to actually leave with some things and tie it to your learning. So our program's about double dipping, and we spend as much time as we can doing that. Then we plan our semester out, our project out. We do some idea generation, and then modeling and testing. And of course, sometimes you get here and have to go back here. And at the end of an iteration, so basically one full design of a project, we're going to evaluate it. We're going to have a panel look at a design and evaluate it. So in that case, what I want you all to do is evaluate a design. So we'll spend 60 seconds, minute and a half on this. I'm going to frame it a little bit, and then we're going to talk about, so I want you to prepare some ideas for improving the design. So this design is part of a project last semester that was part of a system that was in a paint type environment, so it has a lot of particles around it. And we're going to look specifically at this top section. This top section here, the students designed, they have mechanical fasteners, they have nuts on the shaft. The shaft goes in and out like that, but remember there's a lot of paint outside it, and basically this edge, there's a guard on. You just don't see the guard. So I know I didn't give you a lot of context there, but those of you who are students, can you provide me some insight, some ideas for improving this design?
What's the problem?
So basically right now, this needs to travel up and down. I know I didn't give you a lot of context, but imagine there's a guard here that prevents just the center portion from getting paint on it. There's paint in the environment outside it, all over. You'll also note there's a nut here, and a nut here. So these are all threaded, and this is a threaded rod to be able to turn it up and down. We'll just look at this top section right now.
But so far as I know, it works perfectly.
Yeah. So one input is it's perfect as it is. Any other thoughts?
you could change the threading around to where it isn't threaded like a bolt. It's more like a twisted corkscrew, and then that might help it move a little bit easier. And if bigger particles got in the threading, it wouldn't stop it right away. Like if
So are you trying to say a coarser thread?
Like an Acme thread.
Like it, yeah. Sorry, I don't know the exact wording for it, but
or a ball screw.
But like a different type of threading that is like fewer actual threads and like bigger spaces in between them, so you can
multi-start lead. Yeah, there's another way to do it.
There's many, and that is design. That's my point. So, with that, we don't have a lot of time to give you a full example or to go through your own iteration of a design. But I wanted to point out here, we made this team, after getting some feedback, made some modifications. For example, one of which I want to point out is that the fasteners that they were using couldn't be done. I didn't actually give you this info, but that was only about an inch of space. You can't get a screwdriver there. Something else I want to point out is that the threads were being exposed to the paint. A good solution sometimes is to stop the exposure, right? And another thing I want to note here before we move on is having 3 threads on a threaded rod increases your friction so much that it wouldn't have been possible for that object to work. So while in SolidWorks, it appeared to work, it wouldn't have worked in the real world. So I'll go back to that for 1 second. That is a nylon lock nut, another nut which would have tightened together, and this was another nut which would have added even more problems. So my point is that we review design. It's dynamic. We do this one-on-one with you as a team. Facilitators like myself, we have a lot of fun doing it, and you work on real projects for clients. This was for a client. And then I'm going to hand it off to Caitlin to talk about professionalism.
And as she's doing that, as she's pulling that up, we do have a question that came up here in the chat from Yao here. It says, so far, have you got any feedback from former students who are right now in the job market looking for jobs? How are they doing? Brandy, do you want to answer that for everyone?
Sure, there's a few things I can say about this. So because our program is new, the Bell program specifically, our students are still juniors. They're about to become seniors. So we haven't actually had graduates yet, but our curriculum follows that of Iron Range Engineering, which is the same exact curriculum. We're on the same campus. It's just most of Iron Range Engineering students are based in northern Minnesota. That program's been going for 11 years now. We have a graduation rate of about 95%. And excuse my child who's next to me. No matter how hard I try, she just has to be by me. And as far, like, there haven't been any students who are still looking for jobs. They find jobs. And if you're talking about students who are in the program, all but 3 of our students are working right now. Does that answer your question? Or if you have other specific questions, please let us know. Any other things to add?
All right, well, we will continue on with our sessions. So Emily talked about the technical learning in the Bell program. Andrew talked about design. Well, we have this thing in the program that we like to call the 3-legged stool. So you've heard about 2 of the legs. So we're going to talk about the 3rd leg, which is professionalism and what it means to be an engineer. So over the last 10 years, IRE has been partnering with industries, and we have identified many attributes that we believe an engineer should have when they enter the real world as a working engineer. And part of being an engineer is being able to identify these attributes. So I want us to take a minute, maybe 2 minutes, to start thinking about what are some of the attributes that you think you should have as a working engineer as you enter industry. So start thinking about that, write some down, and at the end, we'll put some in the chat so we can share amongst each other what our thoughts are. So let's take a minute and start thinking about that. Okay, so whenever you're ready, if you want to start typing in the chat some of the attributes that you think an engineer should have, and I'll read some of them off, and then we can continue on. So let's see, what do you have? Empathy. Thank you, Brandy. That's a good one. Communication skills, written, verbal, absolutely. Being inclusive, that's a huge part of the program. Ethical. Keep them coming. A couple more. See the bigger picture. Think outside the box. Yep, absolutely. Patience. That's important. That's not easy to come by, is it? Okay. So at IRE and Bell, we have compiled a list of attributes and we have them printed on a huge poster, and we have that poster hanging around the college. And we call this our Being an Engineer poster. There's about 21 attributes on that poster, but I picked out about 10 of them to show you here today. I can share the full poster with you if you want to see that, but this is what we call being an engineer. And we want to ensure that all of you students, as you exit the Bell program, you have all of these attributes in your belt as you enter the workforce. And we ensure that you have these attributes by all the activities that we put you through, the projects, your technical learning, presentations, and things like that. So we give you plenty of opportunities to obtain these skills. But one of the most important things on the list that I have here, written on the top right, is being professionally responsible. So I'm going to give you a little story. I'm sure you all have experienced something like this. If you send out an email or a text message to a coworker or somebody above you that you need a response for right away, and you don't get a response for 2 days, 3 days, if you receive one at all. Now, I know this can be extremely frustrating. I've been in this position many, many times, but at the Bell program, we are going to break that habit by enforcing what we call the 24-hour rule. And in a nutshell, what the 24-hour rule is: responding to communication within 24 hours or 1 business day. A tip that I have for you is if you have a smartphone and you're able to download your email app right on there, whether it's Gmail or Outlook or whatever, you can set it up so you get notifications just like a text message on your phone. And so you're able to respond right away to whoever is contacting you. However, if they are asking for something that will take like some research behind it, you can message them back saying, I will work on this, I'll get back to you in X amount of hours, days, whatever it may be. Just so it shows that you respect them and you respect their time. So that's one tip that I want to leave with you. That is all that I have for the professionalism workshop. I will pass it off to Brandy now for job search. Do you want to control the screen, Brandy, or me?
If you could, that'd be great.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yep.
All right. So job search becomes a large part of the Bell Academy, and even before the Bell Academy, because a big, huge part of the Bell program is working as a co-op. The reason we all go to school to become an engineer is to work as an engineer. So finding a job is a big part of that. And we help you because it's not always the easiest thing to do. You have to put in a lot of time and be persistent and just keep at it. And that's what we're here to help you do. We don't leave you to yourself to find your job. and we don't find a job for you. There is a university called Charles Sturt University in Australia. They use a very similar model to us. In fact, we've tailored our model to match their model, this co-op way of learning. And they actually find, say, 20 companies for their 20 students, and then they match them up. So we don't do that because you might have 5 or 10 students who are getting a job they really don't want. So we leave you to find the job that you want. And we believe it helps you build your skills. These skills that you use in job search are transferable. Networking, communicating, being persistent with your communication. All these things are useful to learn. So ways we help you: from the moment you sign up to be in the Bell program, you apply to the program, you have these available to you. We will help you look at your resume and cover letter, help you learn how to job search and where to job search, what kind, start thinking about where do you want to work and what kind of work do you want to do. We help you with your LinkedIn profile. LinkedIn is a huge thing today in industry. And we do mock interviews with you, and we do those in a number of ways. We do a lot of them. We'll do phone interviews, we'll do in-person interviews, we'll do group interviews. Those are all parts of the job search process. And the more chances you have to practice and fail with us means that you'll have a better chance at acing your interview when you actually have it. So that's all the preparation for job search. In the actual job search, like I said, we'll help you learn where to search. We'll help you learn what job shadowing is. It's a form of networking and learning about different jobs and careers. And then career fairs is a big one. We hosted a career fair last spring, like Dennis mentioned. It was a virtual career fair, and we're going to do another one this fall. Let's see. Yeah, thank you. The next slide, this is just a list of some of the companies, or actually all of the companies that were at the career fair. One way that we help, another way that we help, I should say, is that we have started forming relationships with a lot of companies. And since we've had this career fair, we have added a lot more companies to our list. So we call up these companies and we tell them about the Bell program. We're different than other universities in that you can work 2 years straight. Other students at other universities, they do this cycle. So they'll go to school for a semester and they'll be off for a semester and work. But then they have to quit working and go back to school. With us, a lot of employers really like the fact that you can just keep working. They don't know that really. They can't understand that unless we actually talk with them. So so that's one way that one thing that we get across to them when we're talking with the companies. So not only did our current students attend this career fair, but also our Bell Scholars. So anyone who's applied to our program was able to attend this career fair with us. And we did some, anyone who wanted to do practice, we did that with them as well. All right, and then finally, our outcomes of job search. We work to help you become a polished job searcher. We want you to be awesome at networking. We want you to be awesome at tailoring your resume to the job listing. We want you to be confident in all of that. And if you send a resume and you don't hear anything back, or perhaps you've already talked with someone at the company and they said, yeah, get back to us, and they're not responding, we want you to have that confidence to keep emailing them, get a hold of them until someone responds to you. And that's an all right thing to do. It's something you need to do, be persistent in your job search. We also want you to help you increase your ability to network and the size of your network. We've really learned that you can apply to 100 jobs, but that really doesn't help much unless you actually are building your network at the same time. And that means actually speaking to someone within the company. Career fairs are a huge and awesome way to score a job, where you actually get a chance to have a conversation with someone like HR or an engineer in the company, and then they get to know who you are. That gives you a lot better chance of getting a job. So we try to make those chances as large for you. I don't think that's the right way to say that. To give you as many chances as you can to network with people. And finally, we don't stop until you get a job. We'll just keep staying right alongside with you and talking with companies and searching for more companies. There are a lot of companies to talk with, and we just keep going right alongside with you until you find your jobs. And then even once you found your job, we stay with you to find your next job. So you're not alone. It's an arduous process, but we're here for you. Thank you.
All right, Caitlin, you want to just go ahead and hit the next slide for me? Figure we'll just keep it on your end. So, our program is a little different. Obviously, we touched on, we do design, we do all these different things. We try to build community. Well, we have physical locations to help us with that. We also have software and things like that if you choose to come virtually. So that Bell Academy, if you chose to come in person, you have access to our physical locations. So the top left picture here is in the fabrication lab, where we have our water jet and various other tools, a small CNC mill, some other tools that we incorporate into your design learning, into your courses as well. So your technical courses, those DLAs that Emily talked about, are opportunities to go deeper into the learning, meaning that you might do an experiment in the shop. You might, Tony mentions that I'm in the shop right now, using a virtual background. The middle section is two students, Sasha and Neil, working with the welders in conjunction with a course they were taking, probably along the lines of structures or material science. The upper right, in the upper right section, that's the facilitator group taking a break in the game room. So we have arcade games built by our students, a ping pong table, stuff like that. If you just need to relax, we have a space to do that. For the virtual students, we incorporate time into finding areas to relax, time to take those breaks. In addition to that, we have a theater where we host TED Talk style discussions. So as a student, you see Doug in the bottom left there doing a 8 to 10 minute discussion of what he did in the last 2.5 years in his education. So we have you present. That's part of professionalism. That's part of being able to publicly speak. Now, why do we do that? So going back to why, as Ron mentioned, we have you do speaking events. We have you in design, present your solution to the company, to the GM, to the engineering manager, and to the labor crew. The reason we do this is because you, as an engineer, you need to be able to speak all of those languages, not just engineering. We want you to be able to articulate things in a clear, simplified manner that anyone can understand. Tony and I are in that center bottom picture there. We're in the modeling lab. That's where we have our lasers, our 3D printers, a number of different electrical pieces of equipment. That's like AUB is in the bottom right corner there next to some of the oscilloscopes, function generators, stuff like that. We have access, in addition, to the food side. So I know Dennis mentioned it, but dang it all, it is an important piece of our program. Our lounge is a common gathering place. Almost every morning there's food in it of some kind. It's a huge part of building our community. And of course, for those who choose virtual, we have solutions to get you involved in those activities as well. However, that in-person gives you access to all of this space. In addition to the physical location at Mesabi Range Community College's campus, we also have access to an additional 12,000 square feet of shop facilities at the Iron Range Makerspace. So we have an auto lift, a commercial kitchen, a full wood shop, metalworking shop, welders, plasma cutters, you name it, you pretty much have access to it. The Makerspace also is not part of the university campus, which means if you want to design things and get paid as a student, you can. You can utilize that facility to start a business. In addition, since I have a little extra time, you can actually take courses that help you start a business that are solely incorporated with moving your life forward, or double dip where you're taking courses that align with what you're doing at work. It's a huge part of our program. And so I wanted to share some of those things, but you have access to some cool stuff. That's my point. So we'll transition over to Cody here. He's gonna talk about the finances. So we are a little different, especially those in California. So I'm primarily recruited out in California. Sometimes your tuition is lower, but Cody's gonna break down the financials of our program in a quick overview. And if you want a personalized spreadsheet done for yourself, we'll sit down and do it with you.
Yeah, so if one of your biggest questions about the Bell program is how do the finances work, make sure you're paying attention to this session.
All right, so what we have here is the Bell Finance session, and the purpose of this part of this Bell preview is so that you can become financially responsible in the decision that you're about to make and where to transfer. So we will be comparing your alternate university, your first alternate university option or choice, to the Bell program. So we'll compare those one for one here. And like I said, so that you can become financially responsible no matter what decision you make. We will compare this to a $13,000 per year university. So for many of you, you have looked into some university options on where to transfer, where to finish out your engineering degree. And some of you may look at this number and say, well, the numbers I've looked at are significantly more, or maybe they're a little less, but we'll have this at $13,000 today. But to start this, I want to encourage all of you. So after the Bell preview today, I would like to encourage all of you to fill out your own financial spreadsheet. So if you are interested, we will send you your own financial spreadsheet, and you can customize it, and you can make it the way that you would like, with the numbers that you have budgeted out personally. And you can share this with the people who are important to you in your life, so that you can walk through that with them. So we'll get started. We have tuition highlighted here, $13,000 per year for your alternate university. $1,500 for books. We have rent, income during the school year, income during the summer, living expenses, Pell Grant, and scholarships. So rent, we have $800 per month, which is about average for a single college student. We have income during the school year. So this could be working at a mechanic shop, or it could be waitress, waiter, whatever it may be. This could be a part-time job during the school year. You can see the times associated here, 15 hours per week, 36 weeks out of the year. So you can adjust this how it makes sense for you when you have a personalized spreadsheet. But then this number here, the $22 an hour, actually comes from the Bell side, and we will compare this one for one, and I'll explain that. The $22 an hour is what we're seeing on average for our students who are currently in the program, who are working as junior and senior level student engineering interns or on co-op. So that's $22 an hour. We're gonna assume that if you went to an alternate university, that you would work on internship during the summer months. So we will put that in there for this example today. And then living expenses is anything outside of your rent. So this could be your groceries, car payments, your cell phone bill, anything that you have budgeted personally, which if you haven't budgeted any of this personally, I highly encourage you to do that as well. But that's where this number comes from. It's actually a little bit high for a single college student nationwide, but many of you will have a better grasp of this once you go through and budget what you spend per month. And then we have Pell Grant. Many students earn up to about $6,000 per year for Pell Grant if you do receive it. Some students do not receive Pell Grant, and that is okay too. Today we're going to assume $0, so someone who does not receive Pell Grant. And then we have scholarships. And these scholarships, we just assume that if you were going to an alternate university, to apply for scholarships. And in fact, I encourage you, no matter what decision you make on where to go, whether it be Bell or an alternate university, that you apply for scholarships. It could be as simple as filling out your contact information. Some of them require some essays, but it's about being financially responsible, understanding what kind of opportunities are out there to help with your engineering education. And then you have your tax assumptions here. So we are talking income. You have tax percentages here that you can enter your own information should that come up for you when you're walking through this personally. If you can go through and put your own tax information in there. And then you have your estimated income and estimated expenses down below here. So you can see that we have now populated with those numbers up above that drive these numbers up above right here that drive your numbers below. You would have about $52,000 into your engineering education at this alternate university that costs $13,000 per year. Okay, so now we are going to jump over to the Bell program side here with this second tab, and we are going to go through the Bell program finances and see the financial benefits of the Bell program. So we have our co-op rent listed here as $800 per month. I will talk more about this, but this is something that some companies actually do offer housing allowances or stipends, moving allowances or stipends, if you are relocating for an internship or co-op position. And so we'll talk a little bit more about that, but we'll assume $800 for now. The income during the first semester. We do not recommend that students work during Bell Academy, whether you're choosing to do that virtually or you're choosing to do that on site, because it is an intensive semester with a little more work than you would be getting in your remaining 4 semesters. However, if you do need to make ends meet, we understand, pay bills, those sorts of things. So we do encourage you to not work any more than 10 to 15 hours a week if you absolutely have to work. We have $22 an hour. I just talked about that on the other sheet. We also have the same living expenses listed there. Still $0 for the Pell Grant. And we have your tax assumptions listed here for you to personalize on your own. Now let's go down here, and I'm going to stop here on the screen so you can see the tuition and fees. We had mentioned that the university, alternate university, of $13,000 per year. The Bell program costs $13,000 per semester. And you'll see the financial benefits of being able to work in this model. And that is where the income will come into play here in just a moment. So we'll talk about the books. We actually cover your books for the entire program. However, if we did estimate about $250 for years 1 and year 2. You might find some resources that you find useful and you'd like to purchase some books on your own or do some additional learning that we will help support you in, and that can be done as well. So I have that included there. But we have your living expenses from up above and your rent. So one of the benefits, which we haven't talked about the decision yet, but one of the benefits of making the decision to come on site for the first semester versus to do that virtually is that we will actually have your housing provided for you while you come and attend on site. So if you do choose the on-site option, housing is provided at that first semester. If not, it is up to the student to, obviously, if you're living at home, grandma, grandpa, with brother, sister, whoever it may be, you'll be responsible for finding your rent during that time. But then we have travel to and from Minnesota. So if you do choose the on-site option, we budgeted that in there. And then after years 1 and year 2, you will actually come back to Minnesota and we'll have a big conference event that is provided. The cost for travel will be provided for that. And we will have a week-long event where you get to share your experiences with your peers, get to meet other students in the program, and work with them. You know, you'd be a cohort 2, 3, 4, but we're going to bring all the cohorts back together during that time. So you'll be able to interact and build that sense of community as well. So then we'll look at your estimated income here. We have university scholarship, much like the other page where we estimated that, you know, we hope that you're applying for scholarships. We also have the Phi Theta Kappa, the other university scholarships that you're used to seeing. We have those opportunities available. But I'm going to stop here for just a moment and share that if you are to transfer this fall, so if you're ready to transfer this fall, you have all of your prerequisite classes done, you would actually be eligible for an automatic $5,000 scholarship to join us with our second cohort of students. Guaranteed $5,000 if you transfer this fall and you're ready to come. If you are to come in cohorts 3, 4, or beyond, you would apply for this same scholarship. So there still will be scholarship opportunities available moving forward that you can apply for. But the cohort 2 this fall is getting a guaranteed $5,000 scholarship. And you can see it's split up amongst those 5 semesters. So we got nothing for the Pell Grant. Again, we have our work income. We estimated 0 for that first semester. And then we have our $22 an hour for 2 full years. And now we can see our Bell Advantage and where this comes into play. So we had that total cost of education for your alternate university was $52,000. Bell in this scenario being about $25,000 with a Bell Advantage of around $27,000. And now there are 2 more things that I want to cover in addition to what we've just went over. The first is, I told you that we come back to this, is that let's assume that you were living with grandma, grandpa, mom, dad, brother, sister, or a good friend, and you didn't have to pay anything for rent. Or a company was willing to pay some of that money forward. So for example, Sean Gregg is one of our students right now, works for Anheuser-Busch, makes about $23 an hour. And then on top of that is earning a housing stipend of around $700 per month. So he actually gets his rent covered that way. And you can see the difference that that makes if you don't have to pay anything for rent, or you can find a cheaper alternative solution to rent for those final 2 years. You can see the advantage there. So that's one of the 2 things that I wanted to cover. The other is that we understand that we are in a different time with COVID-19, and it's affecting all of us in various ways. Job search may be more difficult for some, and we will support you through that. And we have career fair opportunities. We just heard from Brandy on all the companies that were at our career fair just a few weeks ago. I think that was only 3 weeks ago now. And we had 26, 27 companies that were there. So we do have a lot of opportunities that are available to you. But let's say you didn't work the full 24 months and you only were to work 18 of the 24 months that you have available in those final 2 years. We will help supplement your design work with a project like Andrew had talked about earlier, where Alltech came to us with a project for students to work on, work with the engineers. That valuable experience goes on your resume. You may not have an income during that few months that you're on that project team, but you would be able to work a little part-time, obviously make some sort of money during that time that you're looking for that engineering internship or co-op work. But I really wanted you to hear that you don't have to work the full 24 months. You won't fall behind in your graduation requirements. We will help get you there. All right, so that is it for the financial session, and we will have some time for some Q&A coming up here shortly, where you can ask some questions about finances if you'd like. But we would like you to request to have one of these personalized so that you can get your own spreadsheet and share it with the people that are important to you in your lives. All right. So that's my twin, Modi Cam. I wanted to share, and you noticed that was actually from our last Bell preview. This video was. I wanted to have this record. I feel like I did capture a few things there at the end. Obviously, noting that the career fair was not 3 weeks ago; it was a little bit earlier than that. But if you have any questions about finances, the reason why I wanted to play that video, you can rewatch this video later, just like students watched this same session that missed it last time. So if you wanted to share this entire night with somebody who's important to you in your life that couldn't make it tonight, you can do that. But if you have financial questions, there's going to be an opportunity coming up here soon for meeting with your personal learning coach. And I'll talk about, I think actually Ron will have something to say about personal learning coaches and becoming a Bell Scholar. But we do have an opportunity for you to ask questions there. Right now, let's do some Q&A, open Q&A for those who are here. Why don't you just take yourself off mute if you have a question? Go ahead and fire away. We're just going to do a few questions, and then we'll move on.
Question?
Yep. Go ahead, Jason.
So they're pretty general. This is from the earlier section where they were discussing graduation rates, and so one of the pathways was that there was 95% graduation rate, and then the other pathway was that they hadn't yet graduated. So that just what am I'm confused. What are there two separate things? What are we talking about here?
Yep. So I'm glad you brought it up because I'm sure others had the same question and maybe were confused just like yourself. We have two different programs. So really we talk about it as two different programs, but this Bell program that you're listening to and hearing about tonight is new, it's innovative, but it is ABET accredited. And this is why. Because we have a program that's already been developed and has already been delivered for over 11 years now. And that program is called Iron Range Engineering. So any branding you see for Bell program, it'll say IRE Bell program or Iron Range Engineering's Bell program. So what you're hearing and what that confusion is that IRE, Iron Range Engineering, is something that's been around. It is very successful. It has traditionally delivered a model of engineering education for students of northern Minnesota. And now this Bell program has, for the last year, been delivered to meet the needs of students from around the country. So we have differential tuition rates. We have a way for you to work on co-op for up to 24 total months instead of just one semester at the IRE, the traditional IRE model. So we have taken what has been very successful and has been delivered for a while now, have extended it into what's called the Bell program. And this Bell program has been around for 1 year. It'll be 1 year in August.
Clear as a bell.
There you go. Thank you for that question, because that was something that students will get confused with what we're trying to talk about here. Yep, and then Tony, I'll just add to what Tony said here, and then anybody else who has a question, go ahead and fire away. But Tony mentions here that Iron Range Engineering students work on industry projects at school for 3 semesters and then work in industry for 1, totaling 4 semesters. A Bell program is 5 semesters in length for various reasons, and we have the opportunity for you to just take 1 semester where you're working on industry projects, and then you're getting paid as a working engineer in industry. One of the reasons, which I don't know if it's been covered, and I'd just like to reiterate if it has been covered, is that we want to make sure that when you are working on co-op or internship for that last 4 semesters, that you don't have this overwhelming sense of, I have to work 40 hours a week and then take classes for 20, 30 hours a week. What it is because we have it broken down into 5 semesters, we are able to deliver a program where you're working for 40 hours a week, and then we only require 10 to 12 hours per week of schoolwork. So it's not overwhelming. You do have a good life-work balance for that final 4 semesters. Let's see, Hunter, Yao, Douglas, what do you have? Do you have any questions?
So far, I'm liking what I'm hearing. Just kind of going along. I have a couple things written down, but they've already been clarified a little bit as we've gone along.
Sure. And if you have any more questions too, Hunter and anybody else, if you have any more questions, write it down. You're going to have a chance to have those questions answered during your Learning Coach session as well.
So, thanks.
Is it the expectation that students are coming into the program with already, at the transfer level? That's right. So it's not a replacement for a 4-year undergraduate education. It's coming in at the transfer level, isn't it?
So it's the transfer level, and I'll clear this up. The transfer level meaning that you have completed, and it's around half, about the first half of your engineering education classes. So you have, for example, I'll just rattle off a few of the requirements. We need you to have taken calculus 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's multivariable and differential equation is what I refer to when I say 3, 4. Physics 1, Physics 2, Chem 1, and then you have a science elective. We'll talk about it later. Then you have statics, dynamics, circuits, intro to engineering, or any programming courses. And then you have a list of general education courses. That includes communications, social science, such as economics courses, and then humanities, such as arts, humanities, history classes. So that's 68 total credits is what we're looking for students to transfer in with. And then you complete the final 60 credits for a total of a 128 credit degree. So you are transferring. The reason why I gave you those numbers, and you can listen, we can go through a breakdown later, is so that you could see that 68 credits of 128 credit degree is done before you even transfer into the program. And you get that at a community college or a university elsewhere. We also offer those courses through our lower division program, but that is in Minnesota.
Yeah, and to follow up on the sort of virtual go to Minnesota divide, how does that work? I mean, I'd like to hear more detail about, like, is that an option? Is it part of, you go for, or most people choose to go for a certain period of time? I mean, some in person, like there were people in the community room enjoying, a meal together or whatever. So there's obviously like some portion of it that people choose to go in and be there physically in person. How does that break down?
So I'll just tell you quickly that cohort 2 is starting in August. They'll start August 3rd, 2020. So that first semester is a longer semester. You will start in the very beginning of August, and it will run through December. I think 13th will be our final date for this fall semester. With that, I think it is 36 students are looking to attend cohort 2 right now. And of the 36, 33 are planning to attend on site for the first semester. 3 are choosing to do virtually for various reasons. I'll tell you that one of the students that is not coming on site is actually, he has family ties that he can't leave the area. And he also is working a job that he can't leave. So he is able to do both. He has to work limited hours so that he can meet all of the core hour requirements of meeting with all of us during the week, throughout the week, to make sure that he's getting that 40 hours of education in that first semester before he gets to his final 4 semesters, where he's really only doing 10 to 12 hours of that classroom work.
Is this COVID related, or is that the plan? Like in a normal year, let's say it's a normal year, you'd still have the option to attend virtually, or?
So that's a great question. From the beginning, we always thought that this was best done and to best build the sense of community by having it all on site. We have, because of COVID, we want to make sure the reason why this program exists is because we're meeting the needs of students from around the world. And if having that first semester, having it available as an option to complete that virtually, although it's going to be challenging for some, they choose to do that virtually because that's what works for them, and they can't make it happen on site. So because of that, it's something that we are looking to do moving forward, But I can just, telling you from personal experience, if you don't have any of those reasons why you wouldn't come on site for that first semester, I think that there's a lot of value to gain from being on site, and there are a lot of benefits to coming on site for that first semester. But we're opening it up for people who can't make that work. All right, we're going to move on to the next section. So save your questions, make sure you have them written down, and then we will have those answered in your Learning Coach session coming up soon.
Yep, so we're all going to hear from the director of the program, Ron Alseth. Once again, he will talk about the engineer's stool that I had mentioned earlier, and then he will also explain what it means to be a Bell Scholar.
We have given you a lot of information, and I want to take a minute to back off a little bit and give you some chance to process. And then we're going to do a chance to answer some questions as well. So this slide right here is called the engineer's stool, and Caitlin alluded to it earlier. We think of our profession, and we believe you are already in our profession in the role of a student engineer. We believe that our profession is really made up of 3 different areas. And they're all very important. And so we like to use the analogy of a stool. If you were to take any one of these legs off of the stool, it would fall over. It would be very unstable. And so at Iron Range Engineering, and I've been at Iron Range Engineering for more than 10 years now, we try and put equal emphasis on being a design, creative person, on being a professional person, and on being a technical person. And so if you look back over our presentation so far today, Emily talked to us about what it means to be technical. Caitlin talked to us about what it means to be professional, and Andrew talked to us about what it means to be a design engineer. 100 years ago, or closer to 30, I graduated from the University of North Dakota. And when I graduated, and still today at the University of North Dakota, that technical leg was huge. All of our time was spent becoming technical. The professional leg was the size of a piece of spaghetti, and the design leg didn't exist. It was a very imbalanced engineering preparation. So when I got into engineering practice, I had a deficit in being a design person, and I had a deficit in being a professional person. And I've got a lot of sad stories to tell about that lack of professional experience. So as you contemplate your future and becoming the engineer you want to be, I think that framing yourself with this stool is a great way to think about the different aspects in our profession. Whenever a student comes to a Bell Preview like you are today and decides that this is a very likely path and that they want to plan to go down this path, they apply to the program and they become a Bell Scholar. So a Bell Scholar is anybody who has applied to our program and is on the trajectory or on the path to starting a Bell Academy. So we are here today to show you all about our program and invite you to be a Bell Scholar. Now, there's no absolute commitment to being a Bell Scholar. There's no contract to sign. We have students who choose to be Bell Scholars, and then something in life comes along and they end up going down a different path, and that's okay. But there are a lot of benefits of becoming a Bell Scholar. And the 2 that are just absolutely worth talking about, and then we're going to send you off on another breakout room to talk to your learning coach, your facilitator again. Those 2 benefits are, number 1, tremendous help in developing you as a good job seeker. With our Bell Scholars, we do lots of resume feedback and help you build your better resume. We help you find jobs. We help you find summer internships that would be while you're still in your community college experience, maybe the semester or the summer before you would start at the Bell Academy. We want to help you become very polished and an excellent job seeker. And so we do that. It's a benefit of becoming a Bell Scholar. And then the second is some real good personal advice. You have your own personal learning coach, and that person meets with you regularly to give you advice on what classes to take. During this last 2 months of COVID, our learning coaches were giving people lots of advice on how to manage stress, how to navigate this new world that we're in. So today we invite you to join us as a Bell Scholar, and whenever you decide to do that, these two benefits start becoming something that is yours. No cost. This is just a part of our program.
All right, to give you a little bit of framing, this is a presentation done by our students for you. It was their sort of idea. They wanted to present what the program was all about, and Cody here will frame it a little more, but I just wanted to give you that.
Hello and welcome to this presentation on the Bell program. My name is Cody Mann and I am an engineering facilitator at the program. Facilitators are working engineers from industry who now work within engineering education and act as liaisons between our students, community college partners, and industry. Our educational model is unique, and for this presentation, students that are currently enrolled in the program tell the story of Bell. The delivery of Bell is offered synchronously with regular learning conversations as we build a strong sense of community among our students and faculty. Student engagement is high through our interactive learning conversations via Zoom. Some of the takeaways you will hear from this presentation today are that the Bell student engineers are self-directed learners. They are motivated to apply their technical skills and knowledge, driven to become difference makers. They are excited to start their careers as engineers and are focused on developing their professional skills. We hope you enjoy.
Hello, my name is Brandon Hillhouse. During the first semester of the Bell program, we went through the Bell Academy, an engineering boot camp in which we were taught crucial skills to not only acquire jobs, but to thrive in our new positions. Technical skills, design experience, teamwork, and professionalism are just a few of the important areas we focused on. By the end of the Bell Academy, we found that we had mastered the ability to efficiently manage our time, apply the technical skills we learned in the field, and solve open-ended problems with strict deadlines.
My name is Peyton Malcolm. At the Bell Academy, all student engineers get to work on 2 industry projects before leaving the Bell Academy for their co-ops. For example, one of my projects was working on a team of other Bell students on a project for Minnesota Power. We got to apply engineering fundamental principles, use modern tools, communicate with the client, and most importantly, we all worked together as a team to produce a design that would add value to Minnesota Power. By having students work on multiple industry projects, they will gain valuable experience that will help them be better prepared to work in industry and add value to the companies that they work for.
Hey, my name's Katie Martindale. I'm currently on co-op with a company called Braun Intertech, and before I started this, I didn't even realize what a great opportunity having a co-op is. I have learned so much about civil, geotechnical, and environmental engineering in the past 3 months, and I don't believe I could have learned half of this by watching YouTube videos or sitting in a classroom. And this is why the Bell program is so special. They're giving us all the opportunity to be on co-op for 2 years before we graduate, and this hands-on experience in industry allows us to meet and network with engineers, develop our professionalism, and make important decisions about our career early on. So when we graduate, we know exactly what we want to do, how to do it, and who to talk to when we need them. And for this experience, I am so very grateful. And that sort of leads me into my next topic, and that is the importance of being happy as an engineer. So here at the Bell Academy, we talk a bit about gratitude, and we're encouraged to use a gratitude journal and talk about what we're thankful for. And this is because happiness and attitude can go a long way. I got to experience this firsthand at the Bell Academy, where we all had our own forms of stress and other emotions, but we were able to be grateful for the people around us, and we were happy to see each other every day. Our jobs as engineers may be serious, but sharing a smile or a laugh with someone at work can completely reshape their day and possibly grow into a great friendship.
Hello, my name is Gregory Rojas. Here at the Bell program, not only is there a large emphasis on having a solid grasp on the fundamental principles of being an engineer, but our presentation skills are also put to the test. During the Bell Academy, we had multiple presentations throughout the year. From IRE talks to SciOps exams to this very presentation, we have had to present to a variety of people. Presentation skills are greatly emphasized in the Bell Academy. As engineers, we must be able to present our work clearly and concisely, not only to fellow engineers, but to our clients as well. In meetings, not everyone present will always have the same technical background, so it's important to be able to reach everyone. Being not only knowledgeable, but confident makes the audience assured of our skills as engineers.
Good day, everyone. My name is Jacob Abraham, and today I want to talk to you all about self-directed learning here at the Bell program. Now, this is one of our central facets, because if we can master the ability to teach ourselves, we can not only teach ourselves technical knowledge that will assist us in our career fields and our future jobs, but we can also master the ability to teach and learn about ourselves as individuals. Having these 2 points of knowledge allows us to grow as individuals and as engineers. We can identify problem areas within our behaviors and seek a solution to overcome those areas and solve problems faster and better as an engineer.
Hello, my name is Lena Harden, and I'm going to talk about the opportunity we were all given to work on 2 different open-ended problems during the first semester while we were in Minnesota. These are called SciOps, which is short for Creative, Innovative, Open-Ended Problem Solving. This process allowed us to choose a specific focus in each problem. Not only were we able to go through a design process, but we were also able to present our final solution to a panel of Bell faculty and fellow peers. Going through this 10-hour process for each problem allowed us all to gain tools and provide us with a process that can be applied to open-ended problems in the years to come.
Hello, my name is Andy Gaines. The Bell program gives students the opportunity to learn and familiarize themselves with modern tools. Modern tools include tools like physical machinery to the software you'd use on your computer. We've had the opportunity to gain experience with physical machines such as 3D printers, laser engravers, and water jets. In addition to the physical machinery, we were also able to gain experience with software such as SolidWorks, MATLAB with Simulink, and LT Spice. These softwares open up tons of possibilities for communicating ideas for our various projects with 3D modeling, creating block diagrams for control processes, and modeling electrical circuits to understand their functions. Learning about and utilizing modern tools allows us to be efficient and effective students and engineers.
Hello, my name is Marcus Bowen. Here at the Bell program, we are encouraged to be aware of contemporary issues in our communities, because as engineers, we have the ability to produce change. The primary issue that is currently affecting each and every one of us is COVID-19. As this pandemic has swept through the world, it has caused a huge shortage of personal protective equipment such as N95 respirators. Over the past few weeks, I have had the opportunity to work with a group of incredible Bell program students to design a reusable, mass-producible shortage relief respirator. Many of the students that you will have the opportunity to meet today have generously volunteered time in the midst of heavy school and workloads to work on this important student-led project. This is just one way that we, as Bell program students, are practicing being aware of contemporary issues and looking for ways to help.
Hello, I am Kristen Phelps. When we hear about diversity, we tend to think of gender, ethnicity, age, or even career paths. However, in the Bell program, we learn that inclusivity is more than just having variety. It's about having more options for a solution. With these different characteristics, we all have different experiences. And with these experiences, we all have a different way of looking at things, and thus different ideas for solving problems. By being inclusive engineers, we Bell students will be able to find the best answer possible in a short period of time.
Hi, my name is Ayub Mazuz, and I want to emphasize the importance of life-work balance. In the Bell program, we have lived experiences that no other program would ever let you live. Why is that? It's only because of a simple fact. They care about us. They care about what we are, what we will be, what we were. They simply care about us. Engineers are supposed to improve the life of people in a society. How can they improve the life of people if they don't have a life themselves? It's simple logic. The concept of life-work balance is extremely important and is ignored by a lot of school systems. But in order to have a performing engineer, he needs to have a healthy mind. And that comes only with a life balance. When you join the Bell program, working becomes a million times more fun because you know you will be rewarded with free personal time later. Bell program is the best representation of humanity and is also the future of engineering, our engineering.
There you go. So that is our, those are our students that wanted to share that message. They also shared that same message with the companies at a career fair. So that's one way that we actually have students connect with companies ahead of time before they even meet with them in their own separate little breakout rooms for career fairs. So with that, I just want to take a moment to thank you all for coming today. And Caitlin, I don't know if you have that slide, that one that Ron pulled up to at least outline the beginning of this. But as she's pulling that up and sharing that, to just briefly recap our time here today, I do want to emphasize the importance of us wanting to thank you for taking the time out of your busy lives to be here tonight. I know we had some students that showed up. They had work commitments, had to head out early, let us know ahead of time. And I see Arthur is in here as well. Couldn't make it to the beginning of this, and that's okay too. Arthur, you can go ahead and stick around after this. This whole session is recorded. So for those of you who are going to be watching this as a recording, thank you for watching the recording and making it to the end of this. But here are the main takeaways from today's session. So we hope that through this 2-hour session that you did really get to experience what it was like to have that highly supportive community, have all of us facilitators be a part of your support network in your learning. It's a workplace experience for you when you go and you work on engineering internship, on co-op, and you get that experience and you're guided along the way when you're getting that experience. You also got a chance to hear about what it means to be the engineer you want to be. That is one of our main slogans and takeaways from the Iron Range Engineering Program. It's the same for the Bell program. We want to empower you to become the engineer you want to be, and we have a flexible learning model that will help you do that. And then lastly, the substantial wage during college is something that you can benefit from by attending the Bell program. That experience is the most important, but that financial benefit from that is awesome as well. So thank you again for coming. I know many of you are writing in the chat right now and writing your thanks. I know our facilitators are writing thanks to you. We welcome you to the Bell family, and we hope that you take the time to reach out to your learning coach after this session, reach out to the person at Bell that you have contact with, ask for more information, and apply to become a Bell Scholar. We'd love to work with you moving forward as your learning coach.
And I'm back to the 5 reasons why Bell exists. I want to start with a thank you. A thank you for spending 2 hours of your day to learn more about our program. And as you have a chance this afternoon and over the next day or two to reflect back on this experience, I hope that our reasons for existing resonate with what your experience was here today. That we are a highly supportive community, that we have a program where you can get tremendous workplace experience and be guided in your development while getting that experience and becoming the engineer you want to be, and having the flexibility to get there, and doing all of that without taking out huge student loans. As Cody went through the financial side of our program, it really was designed to minimize your out-of-pocket expenses to get the rest of your engineering degree. This has been a great pleasure of mine to be with you here today. You got to meet your facilitator during the last breakout session. I hope that the two of you can connect again. If you have any interest in learning more, getting more questions answered, finding out what your next steps would be, figuring out what classes you would take. I want you to connect with that person, and she or he will connect with you. We asked you to spend 2 hours with us. We're right at that 2-hour point. Again, I give you a thank you. And we will, Cody and Caitlin will stick around and answer questions as long as you have them. But the rest of us will go on and start serving the other student engineers in our lives. And really, that's it. So number one, you can stick around and ask more questions. Number two, you will hear from your facilitator about further information. And number three, just a great big thank you.